Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My Two Cent video for this week, for the week of February 9th to the 15th, 2025. I do want to say to everybody who's out there with loved ones, hopefully you guys are having a great, having a great Valentine's Day with whoever you want to spend your Valentine's Day with. Hopefully you got them something special, or they got you something special indeed. And also, this week was my birthday, so happy birthday to me. I'm 43 years old. Yep, I'm getting there. I'm old. I'm getting there and everything like that. But anyway, we got 4 stories to cover this week, including Sony having their state of play this week, though. Mat Piscatella has made an interesting comment about not only the Switch 2, but Grand Theft Auto 6. Reports about Rocksteady's next game, though. And PlayStation Network last week was down, and that certainly caught a lot of people's attention. If you want to know where I got the source of these information, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started, I do want to do basically the quick My Two Cents, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details. The first one is that apparently there is a new Kickstarter or spiritual successor for I think it's called Manic Mansion. I apologize, I'm not saying that name correctly or get it right though. It's basically being developed by this group it's basically a spiritual successor called Cornelia Mansion. Now, right now they seem to be aiming for, get this, NES, Super Nintendo, I believe Game Boy Advance, and the Nintendo Switch. No word if this will be coming to, like, the PS5 or PS4 or Xbox One or Xbox Series X and S, or basically, PC for that matter, but time will ultimately tell. It'll be very interesting to see if this Kickstarter becomes a success and everything like that. I haven't donated or done anything like that, though. I do think some of these Kickstarters can be a hit or miss, so we'll see how this one does. We learned that, at least in North America, the upcoming Lunar Remaster Collection will not be available for pre-order. That means for those who are planning to get it, I think through Amazon, you're going to have to wait until the game actually comes out. I think that's a bit strange that they're not offering you the opportunity to pre-order it in advance. We also learned that the upcoming Master High Wild, the producer won't talk about if a Switch port 2 is happening or not, though. I mean, it's possible the game may not exist for the Switch 2, but at the same time, it's also possible that they could be under an NDA. I think the developers of It Takes Two, sounds, based on their statement, sounds like they are on an NDA. However, this one seems to indicate that their claim is that they don't know anything about the Switch 2, and some people are not buying that statement or anything like that. But in either case, right now, there doesn't seem to be any indication Monster Hunter Wilds will come to the Switch 2, but again, that could change over time. We also learned that apparently those who missed out on pre-ordering Legend of K Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remaster is getting another physical Switch release, though. This one also will appear on Amazon as well, so that certainly is nice for those who missed out on pre-ordering it through limited run games. We also learned that the next Dragon Quest game is still in development, though. There has been some talks whether that game was dead or anything like that. There were some information here and there, but it doesn't seem to be indicating. Some people were wondering if the game was killed off. Obviously, at least according to Square Enix, that isn't the case. And the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake, at least according to Square Enix, they're claiming that it met their expectations, which hopefully they set some good expectations, though, because we know Square Enix in the past has set unrealistic expectations before. So obviously the next Dragon Quest game is still in development. We also learned that supposedly Nate the Hate isn't sure if the rumored February Direct is happening or not, though. We'll have to wait and see if it does happen or anything like that. It's possible, though I can't say 100% for certain. It's possible that Nintendo might be saving it after this week's Sony State of Play or anything like that. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, if it does happen in February, that's great. If it doesn't happen, I mean, oh well. Will I be disappointed? Yes. Am I going to lose sleep over it? No. So we'll see if that February Direct does happen or not. We also learned that one of the founders of Activision supposedly claimed that I think investment firm Berkshire Hathaway, if I'm saying the name correctly, once did express interest in terms of buying Nintendo. Now, they weren't the first ones, though. I think one of the most interesting one was at one point Microsoft was interested in buying Nintendo and all. Obviously, that never happened and everything like that. And this investment firm has not invested in any video game companies or anything like that since then. And obviously, given the position Nintendo is in right now, given how well the Switch 1 has done, I don't foresee Nintendo being open, up for sale or anything like that. Not to say that can't happen down the road, but where Nintendo is, at least right now, I don't see anybody buying them or anything like that. And last but not least, though, the Xbox studio Obsidian Entertainment, especially with their upcoming release of Evolve, are saying that they're not trying to grow aggressively and want to keep their company going for decades or anything like that. In other words, they're not going to try to aim to make, every game like a AAA or try to aim to make it like open world or live service the way recently Ubisoft came out and say and all. And assuming this strategy pays off, I think that's good and everything like that. I'm not expecting Obsidian to make every game like Bethesda's type of game, like expansive open world or anything like that. I am still looking forward to Evolve. I do consider it more like Skyrim Light and everything like that. So, but still, if this strategy works, I think this is good. I like to see Obsidian keep going for a very, very long time. And in the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent, we are also learning that the Halo TV series has certainly showed up on Netflix, at least in the UK and all, and it has raised the question of whether or not maybe Netflix picked up the rights to the series and all. We don't know 100% for certain, nor do we know if a third season will happen and everything like that. Do I think a third season should happen? In my opinion, yeah, I think it should. I think there are some areas they can make some improvements on. I think season 2 was definitely an improvement over season 1, but still not there to be exact though. So right now it's only available on Netflix in the UK. Remains to be seen will be available on Netflix in other regions, nor does it remain to be seen if a third season will ever happen or not. We also learned that supposedly a writer has been picked up to write the sequel to the 80s movies Goonies 2, which would be very interesting to see how that one plays out though. I mean, that's going to be a tough hill to climb to do a sequel to a classic movie from the 80s and all. On the other hand, last year, Beetlejuice came out, and that one did very well at the box office. So there is a possibility that a sequel to the Goonies could actually work. But we'll have to wait and see how the script is played out, and we'll see if the movie does come out, and if so, whether or not it clicks with audiences or not. And last but not least, we do have a report of the box office previews, or supposedly what the box office was like for Captain America Brave New World. The report has come out this week so far. It has made $12 million, and it's believed that it could go up to like $90 million. It will be very interesting to see how this movie will do at the box office. Obviously, last year we only had one Marvel movie, and that was Deadpool and Wolverine, and that did very well at the box office. So maybe this time around, Captain America Brave New World will do well. I'm hoping that is the case. I'm hoping to either see that movie this week or next week, but we'll see how things play out and everything like that, at least for me to try to see that movie. But we'll see how well, in terms of box office, how well Captain America Brave New World does and all. Okay, with the Quick My 2 Cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with the whole PlayStation Network outage and everything like that. Now, last week, basically, there was certainly an outage that, well, let's just say for a lot of folks who were trying to log in to their PlayStation Network and everything like that, especially if you have like an all digital type system or everything like that, or the PS4 Pro or anything like that, it turned out to be that there were some major issues, whether it was I'll get into maybe like Helldivers 2 or anything else like that, to even some claim that even with the attached, disk drive to the PS5 Pro and everything like that, that one you couldn't log in as well. And what made this situation even worse was that even hours after this outage happened, Sony remained silent and everything like that. And that, well, for some folks, that kind of worried them, though. Well, after a while, though, Sony eventually responded to the situation and everything like that. In an article from Insider Gaming, it reads, and I quote, "Sony has given us the actual reasons for the PlayStation Network's outage that brought the service down for roughly 20 hours on Friday and Saturday." Ugh, not great though. In a post late Saturday night on social media, the company blamed the outage on the operational issue. Specifics on the issue weren't given, nor was anything actually said about preventing another issue. However, the PlayStation did once again apologize for what happened. Network service has fully recovered from an operational issue, they said. "We apologize for the inclusive and thanks for the community for their patience. As they make good for nearly a full day of service being lost, PlayStation has given all PlayStation Plus members 5 extra days. The extension will automatically be added to all plans. The PSN originally went down on Friday, February 7th, around 6 p.m. Eastern Time. The outage impacted users across the globe, taking down the ability to sign in, play online, and even access the PlayStation Store. It started to come back around 3:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, February 8th. As the service was offline, the company didn't provide any updates to the players aside from an acknowledgement of PlayStation Network being offline hours that went down. The next update came to the state that the service was restored. So the fact that Sony didn't acknowledge this for a couple hours is, I would say, a little bit troublesome, especially when there were a lot of complaints wondering why people couldn't log in and everything like that. And this isn't the first time this situation has happened before. We saw, or at least somewhat similar, there were situations like where Sony was hacked to it, ranging from around the time the movie The Dictatorship came out to other situations where a lot of people's information was also hacked. So yeah, not exactly great news for Sony, and it will be very interesting to see how they prepare themselves for the future if something like this happens. What even makes this more interesting is that this flies into the face of those who are advocating for like an all digital future or an always online connection, everything like that. When you have a situation like this emerge, it kind of hinders you from enjoying the game that you want to play, whether it's a digital purchase or an always online game, whether it's Genshin Impact or Call of Duty Warzone and everything like that. So it kind of adds a bit of a tough situation for this though. So great that Sony fixed the problem, but yeah, I can see why this flies into the face of the all digital future and all. So overall, not a great thing for Sony and everything like that. It will be very interesting to see how they try to solve this problem going into the future, or try to at least minimize or try to prevent this from happening though. And as I said before, it kind of raises questions about the all digital future and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with Rocksteady's next game and all. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Rocksteady's next game and everything like that. Now, Rocksteady definitely hit it out of the park back during the PS3 and 360 era with the release of Batman Arkham Asylum. This was by many viewed as probably one of the best superhero games to come out in a very long time, with its free-flowing combat and everything, and somewhat taking a page out of like the Metroidvania kind of look. It was definitely a classic to a lot of folks, and the fact that it definitely had the voice of the late Kevin Conway, and of course Mark Hamill voicing the Joker, Kevin Conway voicing Batman, it definitely was good. This followed up with Arkham City, which many people also enjoyed as well. Arkham Origins, which got a mixed response to some folks, and Arkham Knight, the third and final entry in that series, also got sort of a mixed response, although there are those who did enjoy that game and everything like that. But Rocksteady has also had some troubles, though, over the years. The release of Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League definitely did not go over very well, especially when people learned that that game was going to be a live service. The backlash was not great for Rocksteady, though. And though the game did come out and we would eventually get an offline mode, it still did not do very well for WB Games. Supposedly it lost them like $200 million and everything like that. And some folks, there were some who weren't idea to the whole idea of killing the Justice League and everything like that. Supposedly they changed the story and everything and all. Well, it does seem to indicate that Rocksteady is going back to its roots and seem to be going back to the single-player experience, particularly with the report coming out that they may be working on the next Batman game, though. According to an article from Nintendo Life, in which they are pointing to a source from Bloomberg, which is, I think, being handled by Jason Schreier, it reads, according to an article from Bloomberg, looking at the current misfortune of WB's Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, Rocksteady is back doing what it does after developers failed to make a splash with 2024 Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. Plagued with delays and negative audience perception, the game ultimately fell way short of Warner Brothers' expectation upon launch, leading to a loss of $200 million. It is worth pointing out that the article from Jason Schreier also points out basically some other problems, such as the Wonder Woman game has already cost more than $100 million and still years away. They have dropped the Nemesis system that was used in the Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. There was also reports that a John Constantine game was pitched but never got approved. A Flash game was scrapped after the DCU Flash film bombed. It's now helping out with other games. They're reportedly working on pitch for a new Game of Thrones and all. So, yeah, there are some other things as well as part of this article from Jason Schreier. Now, could this new Batman game from Rocksteady work? I mean, that is a possibility. That said, Rocksteady and I think also WB Games certainly have their work cut out. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League certainly gave Rocksteady a bad image, especially after they built that great image with basically the Batman Arkham series and all. And given how most of the original folks who worked at Rocksteady have now left, not to mention the layoff of some of the Q&A testers over there, it does put Rocksteady in a very tough position, though. Now, can they rebuild their image and recover from after what happened with Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League? It is a possibility. I mean, look what happened with, the development of Final Fantasy XIV, how that got a negative response, but thanks to some efforts, they were able to rebuild that game from the ground up, and that game definitely has gotten a better response. Same with CD Projekt Red. When Cyberpunk 2077 launched, it was in a very bad state. It definitely hurt the company's image, and it took them years to rebuild that image and fix Cyberpunk 2077. Thanks to several updates and the success of Netflix's Cyberpunk Edge Runner, that game is now definitely in a better position than it is. It's done very well, and it has certainly helped rebuild CD Projekt Red's image, though. They could still lose it, but they certainly have fixed their image at the very least after what happened with the launch of Cyberpunk 2077. So it is possible Rocksteady could rebuild their image with their next game, which could be another Batman game. Whether it's another entry in the Arkham series or not, that remains to be seen. But certainly, Rocksteady certainly has their work cut out, and we'll see, or should I say, time will tell if basically they will be able to rebuild their image after what happened with Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. As far as that game goes, I do think it is a bit unfortunate what happened to that game. I like the idea of a game based around the Suicide Squad. I think the Suicide Squad is an interesting IP and all. It's just that I feel like WB has fumbled the ball a lot with that IP. The two movies, unfortunately, didn't do as well as WB had hoped for, though. The first one got negative response. The second one, although was definitely got a good response and all, especially with James Gunn behind it. That one unfortunately bombed the box office. Some of it was where was its place in the DCEU, and of course the game didn't do well. I think the only good Suicide Squad I could think of is Suicide Squad Issaka, the anime that happened and everything. So we'll see what happens with Rocksteady going forward and all. So overall, if what Jason Schreier is saying is true, and I'm more inclined to believe what he's saying, then it's nice to see that it looks like Rocksteady is going back to their roots, which I think is good, but I don't deny they have their work cut out, indeed. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with Mat Piscatella and a comment he made about the Switch 2 and also Grand Theft Auto 6. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at a comment made by Cortana analyst Mat Piscatella. Now, there are plenty of games and everything like that people are going to be looking forward for in 2025. One of the biggest games obviously is, of course, Grand Theft Auto 6. And of course, one of the supposedly Nintendo's next gen system, the Switch 2, will be out, supposedly will be out this year. Obviously, for the Switch 2, we're trying to wait until by April 2nd to see when that system will come out. Hopefully, we'll get a launch date. Some people think maybe earlier than expected. Others believe maybe late summer or fall this year. But we'll hopefully when April 2nd comes out, we'll find out 100% for sure. As far as GTA 6 goes, there's no doubt that is a big game that supposedly will be released this year. Rockstar has come out saying that they are still planning to have this game out by 2025. While that is a possibility, I can't rule out the possibility that game could be delayed into 2026. Again, I'm not saying 100% for certain that is going to happen, but I will say it's not out of the realm of possibility. And if the game were to get delayed into 2026, I wouldn't be completely shocked. Disappointed? Yes, but not completely shocked if GTA 6 is delayed into 2026. Well, recently, comments made by Mat Piscatella seem to indicate that those two things, the Switch 2 and GTA 6, could actually give the gaming industry somewhat of a boost to a certain degree. In an article from Game Radar, it reads that, quote, speaking to the Limited Break Network in a recent interview, Mat Piscatella explains why Rockstar's long-awaited title and Nintendo's new handheld console released in the same year could be huge for the video game market. If those two things do happen this year, said the analyst, and they do meet the expectation going into this year, which, as a side note, I think there's a very high chance those two will meet their expectations, but time will tell, and we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, continuing on, I think you're looking at a low to mid single-digit percentage growth in the overall market spending on video game products. It may not sound like much to those of us less well-versed in the financial side of games, but it's actually quite a major jump for the market. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it would result in a record spending on the consumer side. It will get the industry back to growth over that 2021 peak that we previously seen, Mat Piscatella continues. And most importantly, it gets investment flowing back into the gaming space. Such growth would especially be monumental as the market has only held relatively stable since the 2021 peak, according to Piscatella. We've had a market that has been growing for decades, and all of a sudden peak, and it wasn't growing anymore after 2021. And while the market held relatively stable to those highs, it hasn't exceeded them. He points out that it's not only consumers who would benefit from the market potential growth, but also investors and developers, though. There are a couple of things that will help make the market get back on a growth trajectory, and there's nothing investors love more than the line going up and to the right. If the line's not going up and to the right as the industry, it really is tough to get those dollars flowing in, because once those dollars start flowing in, all of a sudden you have more games coming out, you have more team support, and that kind of self-sustain is another growth trajectory, which is what I'm hoping to see. Now, do I think Mat Piscatella is right? I do think so, given his history in a lot of the industry and everything like that. I do think that it is possible that those two, the Switch 2 and GTA 6, could be definitely heavy hitters and could actually add growth to the industry. That being said, though, I do think there are two bumps in the road, at least how I'm looking at it. Again, this is how I'm looking at it. I know some may or may not agree with me, but I do think there are two things that could hinder that and could have an impact on the sales of GTA 6 and the Switch 2. One is obviously inflation. That could be an issue. And the other one, though, I know this is going to sound political to some folks out there, is the tariff situation. If the tariffs are imposed, basically, that could have a serious impact on, I think, the sales of GTA 6, and it could also have an impact on the sales of the Switch 2. So there's a lot of things that could have a negative impact on those two things should they come out this year. But at the same time, it may not have an impact on them at all. So time will ultimately tell when those two things come out, and we'll have to wait and see. So overall, I don't completely disagree. Basically, what Mat Piscatella is saying, if those two things, the Switch 2 and GTA 6, do come out this year, I think there is truth that it could add some serious growth to the gaming industry. But again, there are some unknown factors that could prevent that from happening. And as I mentioned before, I do think inflation and the tariff situation could also have a negative impact on those two. But we'll have to wait and see. So hopefully that's not the case. I'm hoping for Switch 2 to be a success. Hopefully it has the same success as Switch 1 does. And obviously, hopefully GTA 6 also has that success as well. But like I said before, time will ultimately tell if that happens or not. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part. And this one is the Sony State of Play. So we'll take a quick break. Then we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, I'm going to be taking a look at Sony's State of Play. Now, as some of you are aware, though, Sony this week had their State of Play and all. There were talks about it, whether it was happening in February and all, and it did happen and everything like that. Now, I would say Sony's State of Plays could be I felt overall some of them have been misses, though, although there have been some ones that have not been bad or anything like that, though. And coming away from after watching this around 40-minute State of Play, I will say this, though. For looking at it from a perspective of comparing it to past State of Plays, though, I do think this is their best one that they have done. But when compared to, say, last month's Xbox Developer Direct, I feel like the Developer Direct was better than the Sony State of Play. At least that's how I'm looking at it. However, so for this one, I'm going to break it down into what I like and what I didn't like, mixed, and I'm not 100% sure. In terms of what I like, though, I will say games like Lost Soul aside, definitely looks neat and everything. Judging by some of the gameplay that was shown there, I'm definitely getting a little bit of a Devil May Cry, near automata vibe to the game to a certain degree, and that certainly is not a bad thing. So that one's definitely on my radar and all. I also will say that Metal Eden looks very interesting. This looks like a new cyberpunk kind of first-person shooter and everything like that. Supposedly it's handled by the same folks who formerly worked at Techland and CD Projekt Red. So this is one I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for. Mine Eye, if I'm saying that name correctly, that's another one that looks interesting. That's certainly one I will be keeping an eye out. This new third-person shooter. I'm curious if it's going a GTA route or not. It does seem to indicate that's the case, but I would have to see more of that, though. Tide of Annihilation also looks good. That one is definitely on my radar as well. Again, definitely, like I mentioned with Lost Soul aside, somewhat of a Devil May Cry vibe to it, and that certainly isn't a bad thing though. Dream of Another and The Midnight Walker, those games look neat though. Dream of Another, I can't help but feel but shake I'm getting that 3D hot hero vibe to it to a certain degree though. And The Midnight Walker, I like the art style and everything for that one. I also like the fact that it's not only going to be on the PlayStation VR 2, but also on the PS5. So if you don't have a PlayStation VR 2, you can at least get this for the PS5 though. That certainly is a good thing indeed in my book. So that one's definitely neat. And last but not least though, we also saw some gameplay of Onimusha, Way of the Sword and everything like that. This is a game I'm definitely looking forward to. Sadly, it won't be out until next year. But some of the gameplay does look kind of interesting, though. It does look like you have more interaction with the environment, to be exact, though. But I am still very curious to see how this one is going to play. Obviously, they also showed off Onimusha 2 Samurai Destiny Remastered, which is coming to multiple systems, including the Nintendo Switch. That one is definitely also on my radar, hoping for a physical version, but I'm definitely hyped for Onimusha Way of the Sword and all. As far as what I didn't like or mixed or not 100% sure though, the first one has to do with Housemarque T's next game, Saros, if I'm saying the name correctly though. Obviously it's the same developers that did Returnal. I will say it looks nice, but I am a little disappointed we didn't really see any gameplay or anything like that. Maybe, hopefully down the road we'll hear some more. Supposedly, hopefully this year we'll see some actual gameplay though, but for right now, only thing they had was a trailer, so, or let's say what looks like a cutscene, so somewhat disappointed with that though. The next one has to do with Days Gone. I mean, I'm very mixed on this approach that basically Sony's taking. On one hand, I'm glad that Days Gone is getting another chance and everything like that. And hopefully this will reach the audience that may have missed out on the first time. And supposedly it will cost you $10 if you have the original PS4 release, although that's kind of debatable, depending on whether you agree with Sony on this or not. But at the same time, I can see how this could turn off some folks because one of the biggest criticisms this generation we've seen on the PS5 has been really focused on a lot of remasters, though, and even games getting remastered that some people feel like it's unnecessary. So this one I'm a little mixed on, to be exact, though. I'm happy it's reaching another audience, but I can understand why some people may not be pleased with this, though. The other one has to do with is Stellar Blade. Now, I like Stellar Blade. I enjoyed that game though, but I am a little disappointed with some of the DLCs that we've seen so far though. Most of them have been like, for example, we have this new one for this like mobile Nikkei game. I think this is the same developers that worked on it though, and while that's nice, all we've seen so far has just been costumes and everything like that, which that might be okay for some folks, but personally I would like to see, in my view, more story DLCs and everything like that. It's the same thing when they did that Nier Automata collaboration though, okay? Now, some folks like costumes and everything like that. That's fine if you're into that stuff. But for me, and I'm just speaking for myself, I prefer more like story DLCs and everything like that. So I'm somewhat disappointed with this new Stellar Blade DLC. And last but not least though, I will say there are some first-party games that unfortunately are missing that I would have liked to have seen, at least in the state of play, with whether an update or not, ranging from, you know, that Insomniac Wolverine game to the so-called sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yokai. I mean, so there is somewhat of a disappointment that we didn't get to see some of those first-party games. In fact, some people kind of criticized that there was somewhat of a lack of first-party games shown during the state of play, and I do kind of agree to some extent, to be exact though. So it is a little bit unfortunate. I mean, compare that to what we saw at the Xbox Developer Direct, which were a lot of it, there was a good amount of first party games. I mean, one third party game, but definitely there was still what they showed off were pretty good first party games and everything like that. Overall, as I said before, with this with this Sony State of Play, I would say when compared to past State of Play, this was definitely one of their better ones, though. I think they did show some good games on here. Some new ones out there looked really interesting. So to me, it wasn't as a huge disappointment indeed, though. I think this was probably one of Sony's best State of Plays that they have done. But when compared to like the Developers Direct or the last Nintendo Direct, I feel like those did a better job than this one, to be exact. So yeah, this one I thought good, but not great, at least in my book and everything like that. So I think this was definitely a good State of Play, but nothing that blew me away or anything like that. So yeah, I enjoyed this one, but it wasn't anything special at all. Okay, this concludes this my 2 cent for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the PlayStation Network outage at all? Do you think Sony dropped the ball on this in any way? Do you think it was wrong for them to basically wait hours to give a response and everything like that? Were you affected by this outage in any way at all? And do you think this flies into the face of those who argue for the all-digital future? What are your thoughts about Rocksteady going back to doing a single-player game? In other words, another Batman game? Do you think this is a smart move on this part, though? Do you think Rockstar can recover after what happened with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Or do you think the brand is being damaged beyond repair? What are your thoughts about comments made by Mat Piscatella, though? Do you think he's right that the release of GTA6 and the Switch 2 could be a shot in the arm for the gaming industry and all? Do you think that those games will do very well? Do you think inflation or the tariff situation could have a negative impact on GTA 6 or the Switch 2? And what are your thoughts about the Sony State of Play, though? Did you watch the State of Play? Do you think this was a good State of Play? Do you think it was bad? Do you think it's one of their better State of Plays in any way? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, so you'll be watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!